everyone, welcome back to Dancers Doing Stuff. My name is Haley if this is your first time watching, and I am so excited for today's episode. This is actually the very first time that I'm interviewing someone that I don't personally know, so this is a big moment for me. I'm super excited, and the guest is amazing. I have Sonja McCord here with me, and let me just read her bio because it is fabulous. Okay, get this. So Sonja McCord is a dancer, choreographer, and the artistic director and CEO of the Sonja McCord X. She trains professional dancers to amplify their artistic brand, build independent work, elevate their talent, and monetize their art, all while increasing their marketability and visibility in the industry. Like, what? That is so needed. I need help with that. Everyone, I know a lot of you out there, I've seen your Instagrams, you need help with that too. And so she is a certified master marketer and has worked for 15 plus years in agency marketing. She has had the opportunity to perform with the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, Nashville Ballet, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and Dance Theater of Harlem, which, whoa, like, powerhouse names, amazing. She is a former point shoe specialist with Capezio Ballet Makers, and Sonja has traveled internationally to educate, lead, and advise professional dancers, artistic directors, and dance businesses on branding, visibility, marketing, and artistic development. She's also been featured on online magazines such as Dance Informa, About.me, BET.com, The Griot, Soul Pit Magazine, and has served as a judge for Dance Quest Canada. Like, what? That is so cool, and I get to talk to her. So, as always, I love to share a video of my guest moving and grooving, so let's check it out. Wow, that dress, that energy. Oh, I love it. I wanted to like move with her. Okay, so before I keep blabbing on, let's bring in our guest. Let me give a big round of applause. Yay! Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. That was the best intro ever.
I try.
Thank
Amazing. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get into the craft. And this one, fingers crossed, I can't mess up. So we're going to be coloring mandalas. And this is like going to be such a chill craft compared some of the ones that I've been doing have been like very involved, very messy. This is making me feel calm already just looking at it. So I have my Crayola super tips over here, and we're just going to be coloring. So there's no real rules that you can just do whatever you want. So that's great for me. Yeah, so I'm excited. I know you have like a lot of different ones to choose from because this is something that
I
you
do.
like to do.
Oh, I do. I have a whole book of mandalas. I don't even know. I tried to find one that was similar to yours.
Whoa, that one is
Yeah.
complicated. I have
It
like
looks complicated, but it's not. It's pretty simple like yours.
I
It's just
have like the
it's
beginner version, and you have like intermediate advanced version.
maybe, I don't know.
Amazing. Well, while we start to color, let's talk dance. I want to know, what is your dance history? Where did you grow up? How did you start dancing? Give me the whole spiel of your entire life. Simple.
Okay, that's quite a bit, but let's see if I can learn how to multitask and
Yes,
color
it's
and
hard.
talk at
It's
the same
hard.
time. because I'm like a serious colorer. Like I get really
You
into
get
it.
into it? Yeah. If
Yeah,
you
I
need to
do.
take breaks, that's okay.
Okay, we'll do that. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I started dancing when I was 6 years old. And it started because, well, I always knew I wanted to dance because my favorite movie was Annie, the original Annie with Bernadette Peters and Anne Reinking and Jeffrey Holder. And every time the movie would go off, I would cry hysterically. But I always say, like, Annie had everything I ever wanted in life. New York City, Radio City Music Hall, the fancy costumes, the money, the bright lights, all of it.
Yep.
And so I always knew that I wanted to dance, but it wasn't until I was 6 that my next door neighbor had an open house at her dance studio, and her mom invited me to go. And I remember I had like a khaki skirt, this blouse. My sister dressed me up. She like got me like in these tights. It was not dance clothes at all, right? But I thought I was just going to be sitting and watching. And then the dance teacher said, "Would you like to try?" And I was like, and I'm a very shy person, but I was like, okay, I'll try it. So I take off my shoes. I remember feeling like mortified that I didn't have the right clothes on at 6 years old. I was so embarrassed, but I did it anyway. And when the class was over, my mom was like, "Did you have fun?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to do this." And so she enrolled me in the classes. And from there, I was hooked. I started out with like what the usual ballet, tap, and jazz.
Yep.
Did that forever. Tap was my favorite until I discovered that ballet had like real technique. And then after I discovered that, like it's not like, because at first it was so boring, like just holding your
Yes.
arm there, like, and you didn't have any technique, so it's just there.
Yes.
And then when I realized like there's a way to hold it, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And so I think it was third or fourth grade, my dad bought me tickets to Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, and when I saw them live, I just fell in love with ballet and begged my parents to let me go to Pittsburgh Ballet. And eventually they did. And so then at that point, I tried to stick to like jazz and tap at my old studio and do ballet at the same time. But at some point, you have to make that decision to switch
Yeah.
over. So we moved to Nashville, Tennessee when I was in high school. And so I switched over to Nashville Ballet. And that's when I got my real opportunities to perform, like in the Nutcracker, which was like amazing for me. I was like, I don't know, just so ecstatic and honored at the same time.
Yeah.
It's
What
like
was your
I've always
first Nutcracker role? Because I feel
rolled.
like everyone who does ballet has their first Nutcracker memory. I was a cherub in the Jose Mateo ballet. I remember it so.
Yes.
I was this special extra cherub. I got to bring the candlestick on to Clara. Like,
Oh, yes.
it was
Isn't that
amazing.
amazing?
Yeah.
Like when you get to interact with Clara as a child, that's like a big
Oh my
role.
gosh. It was a big deal. So what was your very first Nutcracker role?
So I love telling this story because I didn't really understand how the auditions worked at Nashville Ballet. You had to be invited. And so we took a class. I barely remember that part. We had the class. Then there was like a lineup, and they would line us up in different groups. And I didn't know what that meant. But in the end, they were trying to figure out who was like the soldiers, who were the rats, who were the Polichinelles.
Yep.
And I remember one of the a couple girls were talking to me, and they're like, they'll probably make you a rat or a soldier. And I was like, hmm, okay. Like for me,
So
I didn't
rude.
know. I didn't care. Yeah, in hindsight, it's completely rude.
The
But
ballet
then I was
world
just
is
like,
is shady, even when you're young.
it was. And so I was just like, okay. And so it turns out that I was actually a party child. And yes, and they were the
Wow,
rats and the soldiers.
sweet victory.
The irony of it all, right? Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I was a party child and I was a Polichinelle. So the
You
best
got the
thing,
two best ones. I'm
I
jealous. I'm
know, I was
jealous.
so like ecstatic. And so the Polichinelles was super fun. That's always in the second act, as you know. And then the first act, as a party child, you get to be on stage the whole first act. I mean, that is heaven, 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 heaven. And so I remember, like, here we do. I mean, in Nashville, we did maybe 30 performances the whole December. I never got tired of
Wow.
it, never got tired of the music. We rehearsed from September all the way through December. Like the company members would be like, "Oh, I don't want to hear Nutcracker music ever again." And I'm like, "Please let me do it again." Like
Yes.
ecstatic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So then after Nashville, what happened next? Where'd you go?
So after I graduated from high school, I went directly to New York at 18 years old, and I went to
Oof.
Alvin Ailey. Yes. Um, and like looking back now, I can't believe that I did that because even the summer prior, I went up there by myself at 16. I think I was 16, and I just can't believe I did that. And I was so brave. I thought I was like invincible. But Alvin
Yeah.
Ailey had a BFA program. They had just started it, and I was the second class of the BFA program. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a huge experience that I just at the time I didn't realize how much of an honor it was to be in there. I guess because like for me dancing kind of came easy for me, and so like I just loved what I did and I just danced, right?
Hmm.
I didn't really know if I was like really good or not. Things just would happen. Like I felt like I was good, but it wasn't until I ran into someone that I went to the summer program with the year before, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm in the A-League program." And she said, "Oh, I didn't get in." And I was like, in my mind, I was like I couldn't believe it. And then
Yeah.
it like clicked like what an honor. Like people got turned away. It never crossed
Yeah.
my mind. You know what I mean? But
That's
I
such
always
a
say
good
Ailey made me a
point.
great dancer. Mhm.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's really hard sometimes. I'm like going on a tangent a little bit, but like sometimes I feel like a lot of people have that kind of, they get stuck in that, like forgetting how they actually have achieved something really important. And like, no, it's like, you always have those moments where like, you just let me in, you just added an
Right.
extra cast member so that you felt bad for me. It's like, no, like
Right.
you had talent and you were meant to be in this place. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is so cool. So then how was that? Was it still, it was a 4-year program like
It
how
was
it
a
is
4-year
now?
program. Yes, exactly. I actually did not finish the program. Ballet was still a part of my heart. And another funny story, this is probably my absolute favorite story, is that there was another friend of mine. We both were in the A-League program. She wasn't in the BFA program, she was in the certificate program, but we were really good friends and we both loved ballet. And she comes with an ad. I don't know where the ad was, but she was like, "Sonia," and she puts it on my bed and she's like, "Dance Theater Harlem's having auditions on Sunday." And I was like, "For what?" She was like, "I don't know, but it's a free class." And I was like, "Yes, it's
That's
a
the
free
best
class."
mentality.
Oh, it was awesome, right? So we're like, "Yes, let's go to this audition for this free class." So we go. Of course we dress appropriately, but we're not taking it like seriously in the, regard of like nervousness or
Yeah.
any of that. We're like having the best time. Like we're looking, we're smiling, we're laughing. Like, when you have the lineup and they're trying to figure out who's coming in,
Yeah.
we're sitting there, everyone's like all prim and proper. We were proper, like respectful, but we weren't like
Yes.
nervous. But we kept looking at each other, smiling, and we both walked out with full scholarships.
Amazing. Amazing.
It was like, to me, that's like the ultimate story of how the universe works. Like when I was younger, I used to think about Dance Theater of Harlem, and I knew that I wanted to go there, but by the time I was old enough to go, I completely forgot about it because I was thinking about college and who had college programs. And so because we both got in on full scholarship and that was like my opportunity to get back into ballet, I ended up withdrawing from the Ailey program after my second year and went to Dance Theater of Harlem. But my absolute favorite story. It's like just minding my business, enjoying life, like not being nervous, and poof, here comes this incredible opportunity.
Yeah, wow. That is, I mean, that should be a lesson for everyone. Like, you we sabotage ourselves in those auditions so often by like
Yep,
making it so much of a bigger thing than it is. And it's like you forget you love dance and that's the reason you're
yep,
there. It's like they want to see that love for dance. They don't want to be like, oh, I'm so nervous. Oh my
exactly,
god. Yeah, no,
exactly.
that's perfect. So then what happened after that? Like what
So,
what did you guys do? Was it like a training program that they had?
Ended up being a training program. It was a certificate
Cool.
program, and as students, we were able to perform with their second company called Dancing Through Barriers, which was
Wow.
really, really exciting. Yeah, I loved it. Um, and actually, in all the places I've ever been, in all the schools, everywhere, it's the only place I felt like I belonged. It was
Mm.
the most like magical, spiritual moment. I remember that first day of class, and it's like what you see in the movies, like where it's like this beautiful like industrial type looking building because there's like the brick walls and the big studio with the beautiful windows. And I remember just going in and laying on the floor and just being like, oh, like I'm home. And it felt so good to be there, and everyone was just so welcoming and gracious. And even to this day, if I run into someone from Dance Theater of Harlem, even if they don't remember me, and I tell them I'm alumnus, they're like, "Oh my gosh, how are you?" And they'll give you hugs, and I'm like, "Oh, I love this place so much."
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it
So
was great.
cool.
So
So,
yeah,
what were some of your favorite? I mean, I know you've shared a bunch of them, but what are some of your favorite dance, like performing or job? I always say job or experience because I know a lot of the times we don't get paid for things that we probably should be paid for. So, that's why
right.
experience is thrown in there. But what is your favorite, most memorable professional dance experience?
I think it's hard. I think that my most favorite is when I got to perform with Alvin Ailey at City Center. Um, it was as a student though with Memoria, and it's a ballet choreographed by Alvin Ailey. And I think from what I remember, the story was students were like, we want more opportunities to perform Mr. Ailey. And so he created this ballet that would allow the first company, I believe the second company, and the students to be able to perform. Um,
Wow.
now I'm not sure who it is. I know it was students in the first company, but I'm not sure if the second company participates. But that audition was crazy for me. And it was the first time like the audition wasn't a class. You know, you were learning, for me, it was the first time I had to learn choreography and be able to nail it. And then the pressure in rehearsals was just so high, just completely high. And I mean, you're dancing with an alien company. It's like
I would
you,
pass out. I would literally
yeah.
pass out.
Usually, like I'd never been nervous to perform ever in my life until I performed with Ailey because I was just like, I remember just being on stage like, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up. Like that's all I could think about. But by like the fourth performance, like I was a pro. I was cool. It was good. I got into it, but like it was just extraordinary. And Miss Jameson came in a few of the rehearsals and, was just getting on us. And for me, I love when a director gets on you, like, and they're like, get low, start grooving, whatever it
Yeah.
is, and they demonstrate. And it's just like, that's another thing I sort of took for granted when I was in the middle of it is that a lot of the teachers at Dance Theater of Harlem and Alvin Ailey and even Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, they trained with legends. Like at Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, they were Balanchine ballerinas. And, at Alvin Ailey, these are people that dance directly with Mr. Ailey or the teachers that dance directly with Martha Graham or Cunningham. Like it's
Oh, I
just,
have chills just thinking about that. Oh my gosh, I can't even
yeah,
imagine.
it didn't hit me till years later. Like, wow, like I'm only a generation away from these
Yes.
pioneers in dance. And I just always say that Ailey made me a better dancer because of just those types of experiences and the way the class was with the percussion going, and you just walk in the building and you just hear like da da dum dum da da dum dum. You're just like, ah,
Yes. Oh my gosh, no,
yeah.
that is so true. And I love thinking about like our dance history like a family tree. One of my teachers in college, Lester Tomei, shout out Lester, but he
Hmm.
in our dance history class, he talked about like creating your dance history tree, your dance family tree, and you see how your influence and like all these different pieces that make your dancer your unique self, where it's come from, and you get to see all those little pieces, and it's just amazing how much of a network, like not in a like networking, like that kind
Right.
of way, but like a true like network, like roots and trees that dance and
Yes.
art is. Like, it's alive, it's growing, and it comes from different places and it branches off. And like, I just love thinking about it like that because we are all connected, but we can make it our own. And like, oh, dance is just amazing. I love dance.
I think I know, I do too. I think I want to do that, that whole
That would
dance
be
family
really
tree. I think that
cool.
would be so amazing to just see and like who trained with who and wow, that
Yeah,
would be
I think
crazy.
everyone should do that. Homework for everyone.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I think that is a perfect time to get to our first game. Let me get our little
Okay.
would you rather. Before we do that, have how is your coloring going? I was so fascinated with everything you
I
said. I've colored 6 dots. So I'm not doing
Same.
great, but
But we have the same color choice. Is that purple that you're coloring?
yes.
Yes.
I love a cool toned vibe. Um,
So do I.
Purple is my favorite color. Okay, so these questions for anyone watching live, feel free to comment your responses. It's always really funny to see what people pick, and these questions are pretty bizarre most of the time.
Okay.
So let's see. Oh, interesting choices. Okay, so would you rather have toes for fingers or have your speech replaced with the sound of Bohemian Rhapsody when you open your mouth forever?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, that's the only thing that you can ever say to anyone.
That's hilarious.
Ah. So you would pick Bohemian Rhapsody over finger
Yes.
toes?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that would
That's a
be, a
bold
nice little melody.
choice. Yeah, okay. I support it. I support it. Okay, next one. Oh, okay, okay. Would you rather wear winter clothes all through each summer or have cauliflowers growing from your ears?
Oh my gosh. That is hard. You know what? Actually, I would do winter clothes because it's always freezing inside of the buildings.
That's
So
true.
I
And
take
the
a sweater with me
subway
anyway.
freezing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
I'm
think I
kind of
could do with
vain. I don't want like
cauliflowers.
toes for fingers and cauliflower
Yeah,
for ears.
I
So,
feel that. I feel that. I respect it. Okay, last one. We randomly pick. What do we get? Oh, okay. Would you rather have your speech replaced with the singular word sausages or have armpits full of sticky honey?
oh,
There's a lot of like replacing your speech. I don't know what's
it
going on.
is.
This game is trying
I can't
to
go with the
limit you.
sausages though. I'll have to go with
Just
the
bosh.
sticky armpits. Yeah.
Yeah. Because maybe it's like the honey's not gross. It could be
Yeah.
like you wake up, you make some tea, you just right in there, like
Get
it's
some wax paper maybe to soak up
yeah. You could
the
make like
stickiness.
all sorts of stuff. You could start a
I could start a
business.
whole business like pit
See,
covers.
entrepreneur, which I'm so excited that actually brings us to our next topic. That's a perfect transition.
It is.
You're an entrepreneur. You're not a armpit honey entrepreneur, but
No.
you have been doing marketing. You've been doing your own program that's starting. I want to hear all about it. I'm fascinated with the things that dancers create and do, and especially when you focus on helping dancers, which we need a lot of help. So tell me everything that you do with your life.
Yes.
Casual.
Okay. In 5 minutes. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
I have the timer on.
So I started the Sonja McCord X, which actually stands for the experience. And
Ooh.
it's about creating experiences for dancers that help make their careers easier. In particular, I have one program called Dance Visibility, and it's a free intensive that it's going to start next week. Yay!
Everyone sign up.
Yes, please do. dancevisibility.com. Basically, I teach dancers how to build their brands, like amplify their brands, how to build their resumes and portfolios, and how to elevate their talent. And with the three of those, I call it like the visibility trifecta. It helps increase your visibility and marketability as a dancer, which ultimately helps you book jobs. Nowadays, dancers are getting booked straight off of social media, in particular Instagram. And so it's really important to be able to showcase your dancing in a way that shows that you're professional, that you're reliable, that you can move, that you've had experience working with other dancers, or that you can pick up choreography. And so I teach dancers how to do that. In addition to, I'm leading this whole movement. Like, I really want to just disrupt the dance industry.
Yes, I was
And
gonna say, I know this is something that
yes,
you're passionate about, and tell me everything about this because I love it.
yes. So the movement is just, dancers get caught up in this like training, audition loop. And we just go back and forth, hoping for someone to give us that opportunity and say yes to us. And what we find is a lot of dancers are even afraid to call themselves professional dancers because they aren't getting paid for it, or they
Mm,
haven't had that big, tour, or they're not in a dance company yet. And so, what I am doing is empowering dancers to take their career in their own hands. I'm not saying to stop auditioning and stop training, because obviously we still want those big jobs, right? But while you do that, build your own legacy, build your own body of work, much like who I've already mentioned: Alvin Ailey, Maris Cunningham, Martha Graham, Josephine Baker, Catherine Dunham, the list goes on, right?
mm.
So it's giving dancers permission to build their own body of work and to call themselves dancers and professionals, and to feel empowered to create their own work, because we are creative beings. And it's not enough to just learn other people's choreography. I mean, after a while, like, I mean, obviously, most dancers love learning choreography. So that's that. But then there's a part of us that will always want more, something else to do, something else that like allows us to be creative, like coloring.
Yes.
But to be able to find like your own signature style of dancing, and just explore that side of it that we don't get to explore in the audition room, or we don't get to explore in class. That freedom to be able to create your own style of dancing.
I love that so much. And I think over this pandemic, I think I've, like everyone, I've been doing a lot of like reflection and, thinking about it like, oh my gosh, my time in New York has just flown by. I moved here
Yes.
after college and like, oh my gosh, it's really easy to get down on yourself. And, it's
Hmm.
exactly like what you said. Like, I'm not a professional because I've only done like one job. I don't make my entire career from this, from performing. And also something that I've been realizing is that, when I was younger, I would create, whether it was crafting or whether it was putting on a Backstreet Boys song and like making a dance and forcing my non dancing friends to learn it at my house for hours and force my dad to film it. It's like I would
Yeah.
create because it was just what I wanted to do. And then I don't know when that's shifted in my brain of like, well, are you allowed to create because you haven't done
Right.
enough? Especially coming to New York. I moved here, I had all these ideas for concept videos and all of these
Yes.
dreams of things. I want to be in other people's productions, but I had dreams of making my own stuff. And somewhere along the line of the hustle and the being said no to and getting called out in certain groups and compared to in a class when you're going to learn and then instead end up being sectioned off into good, better, best, not great at
Yep.
all. Like
Hmm.
somewhere along that line, I lost that in myself. And I think having this time away from class and having this time, just this weird time that we've all been going through, I've realized that that is something that I really wish that I could tap into, and I'm trying. And it is something that is surprisingly so hard to allow
Yep.
yourself to be creative and to be your type of creative instead of trying to fit into these other people's boxes. So I am all here for what you're doing because it is so, so needed.
That's so true, because it's scary and it's overwhelming to be creative. I even find it for myself. And I think what it is like, especially now with social media, and there's dance is hot on on social media, right? So you're
Yeah.
watching so many different creative videos on YouTube and on Instagram, and the concept videos, and then you're seeing like the professionally done things, and
Yes,
it's
it's
almost
like
like, am
full
I creative
productions.
enough? Right.
Yes, like full
Is this
on big
enough?
budget productions. And you're like,
Right,
how did
exactly.
you do that? Now, if I film something on my iPhone, it's gonna look like garbage. Like, yeah, oh, for
Right.
sure.
Well, the judgment that comes with it, and that's where dance and visibility comes into play, is it's allowing yourself the freedom to just dance and to just move and to find that love that you have for it again without judgment at all.
Mm,
And I actually came up with my other program called Freestyle Prompts, which
I
is
love this.
another program that it's basically, it gives you different prompts, like it's 1,000 prompts, like dance as if you're walking on water, or dance as if you just found out the worst news of your life, something like that. The thing about it was, when I was structuring this course, it comes out next month, is that I didn't want to teach you how to freestyle, because to me, that's not giving you the creative freedom to explore who you are. I really just wanted to systemize the approach to movement and to
Mm,
dancing, so that dancers can start to discover and play around with movement. You know what I mean? Like, some of these freestylers that are really good, that's all they do. It's just play.
yeah.
They pick up a pen, and next thing you know, they're like dancing with the thing, like
Yes.
doing this
And
like
they're not
unique play.
afraid to mess up, like,
Not afraid.
there's no right or wrong. And it's like, it's so hard to get out of that mentality. And it probably
It's
also, I don't
true.
know about you, but I grew up with a very like strong ballet modern training. I always
Yeah.
did like jazz, tap, hip hop. Like, I love all that stuff, but I did like the four ballet classes a week that were 3 hours,
Yep.
the point, like the all of that. And it's
Yep.
like, in certain styles there is like a very right or wrong way to do something. Of course,
Yes.
there's technique in all styles, and there are right
Right.
ways and wrong ways to do things, but certain styles really drill it into you that you have to follow this thing so much. You have to look a certain way. If you don't look a certain way, you're not going to be successful. If you're not doing this by the time you're 16, you're not, like, there is so much like subconsciously drilled into our heads, I feel like, with, you know having to be a certain way. And then I remember I went to like a very like artistic free high school where dance was like, we're room rating and like doing all
Yeah.
these really cool things, but it was really hard for me to just let go
Yes.
of, like, am I doing this right? Do I
Yep.
do a
Hmm.
turn? Do I do a kick to show my leg during this improv or something? And it's like, no, Haley, you don't need to do that. Keep your leg on the ground, like, wiggle a bit, like, find different ways
Right.
of moving. But it is really hard, I think, even still, freestyling in a class, like, just having the freedom. I think a lot of that, like, freestyle is freedom, and it's like,
It's
why
freedom.
is it so hard to find that sometimes? I don't know. That's a personal problem, I guess, but
I
it's
think it's a
it's
problem that a
crazy.
lot of dancers have, because we're probably the only profession that is taught to look at yourself and criticize yourself the entire time. So if you're used to just staring in
Yes.
the mirror, looking for what's wrong so that you can fix it, when it's time to be creative and you've seen all these other people doing these cool moves, we see them after they're seasoned, after they've worked through all the kinks. We don't get to see
Yes.
them when they're at our level, beginning freestyle and trying to figure out like what works for us and what do we like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's hard to like not see them and compare yourself when you're trying to move and be free. And then if you don't know what to do, obviously we're going to go straight to like pirouettes and bot moms, PK
Yes.
turns.
Literally, always, always. A little hitch kick to get spicy.
Yep.
It's like, wow. No, I'm so excited for all of these things. Definitely, everyone will have all the information in the show notes and everything, but for sure, check them out. So, what I wanted to ask, I wrote down some questions for this episode.
Okay.
I was very nervous. But I wanted to know, like, what are the top three, like, mistakes that you see dancers making when they're marketing themselves, or just kind of like, what are some things that you're just like, oh God, like, I wish I could help you, like, you need to take my class, please let me help you, kind of situation.
Um,
Or even, it might
when
not
it
be
comes
like
to
things
like
that they're,
marketing, or just in general?
I think I was thinking about like maybe what you see them presenting of themselves. So it might be marketing, but it might just be like general etiquette or general, online, whether it's online or in person, just kind of things that like make you as someone who's knowledgeable in these things kind of be like, "Oh, honey, let me help you."
Yeah, I think it's when dancers, their profiles, especially on Instagram, they don't look like they're dancers. Like they don't even say they're a dancer, but yet
Mm,
this is something they really want to do. We need to see dance all over your page, and I find that a lot of dancers are afraid to put themselves out there.
mm,
And I think the most important thing is to constantly post your dancing, even if it's from the beginning and someone can watch your journey and your evolution of dance. That would be the first thing. Two, putting like random things on their page that you can have like 20% of your personal life, but you also have to remember like you're a brand at this point.
yeah.
So you don't want like a picture of like your pizza like on a styrofoam plate. Like, no.
Yes, no, 100%. I think that that's something that especially like I grew up kind of like in this middle realm of like I remember cassette tapes, but I also like, remember when the iPhone came out and Instagram came out. So it's kind of been this interesting kind of how do we figure this out? How do we learn and grow with it? And I think that's something that like, some how am I trying to say this? Like I feel like some younger people they can come at it and I feel like they start off like at the jump, branded,
Yep.
ready. They're archiving their posts. These kids that I teach, they'll have like 2 posts because they archived all of the ones that they posted when they were 13 and they're like, "No, that's
Right.
not me anymore." Like it's interesting and as someone who has, friends who are non-dancers and dancers, it's kind of finding that balance because I know sometimes people look at your page and they forget that Instagram is not for everyone, it's not a branding
Right.
platform. It's not a marketing
Hmm.
platform, but for performers and dancers and a lot of other industries, it's like this is like you said how we get a lot of jobs. And so it's like, sometimes I've had people be like, "Oh, well like you're so great, you know everything." Like, they think that you're
Yes.
living your best life and they forget that this is my resume, this is my LinkedIn, and you're
Yep.
you're following me because you know me, but like this is I can't post like my friend's, you know, cheese sandwich that she's proud of, or I don't know why that I don't know anyone who made a cheese sandwich recently. It'd be yummy, but I don't know where I'm going with this, but like
No, I
it's
totally get what you're
it's
saying. It's
interesting
what
to find that balance, and I guess the most important thing is just you can't care what other people think about you. I guess
that's
while
really
I'm
true.
listening to myself, I'm like, you know what? You just do what you want to do. That's it. That solves the
Hmm.
issue. So I guess thank you for helping me work through
Yeah, but
that.
that's hard though. Oh, you're very welcome. You did it all by yourself, but that's the common thread with a lot of the dancers that I work with is that there's like this hesitancy, like a mindset block where the minute they really like there'll be that moment where like one girl in particular, she lost all this weight, she looked so good, and then she lost her partner. Like her partner got jealous of her. And so then like what that does to her
Hmm.
psychologically is like when I'm successful, I'm going to lose things that are important to me. And so she wasn't putting herself out there anymore. And it's like learning to get over the hump of the perception of how people look at you when you're doing well. And the second part of that is also dancers. Like I remember one dancer was like, I don't want to be that girl. And I'm like, be that girl. Like you have to. If this is your dream, this is what you want to do, you have to put yourself out there. And those that are in your circle may not understand, but it's not for them to understand because you have to have that like tunnel vision, the eye
Hmm.
on the prize, knowing exactly where you want to go and making sure that you do all the steps that's necessary. And that is self promotion. Like
Yeah.
they're not getting your job. They're not going to auditions for you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you have to just go for it.
Wow. I love that.
100%.
Ooh. Now I'm like thinking all the things I need to do when we hang up. But what are some of your other passions outside of dance? I know that you mentioned that you love binge watching shows. I was wondering what is like the latest show that you are watching on Netflix or whatever streaming service is out there.
You know what? Okay, so I try not to start any new shows because I get obsessed. Like I will literally like watch it from beginning to end. I take bathroom breaks and food breaks and that's it. Like so I haven't done that in a while because I've been trying to be really productive with my
Yeah.
business. But I do the latest show that I'm watching now is The Blacklist and unfortunately
Ooh.
it's live. So I have to wait every Friday for
Oh
the new
my
episode to come
gosh.
in and I can't
What
stand it.
even is that like? I don't even remember real
It's so
TV.
hard.
Oh my goodness. I actually just binge watched the show Shadow and Bone on Netflix. It's like a
Mhm.
new one. It's only 8 episodes. Highly recommend. Finished it this morning, and it's based on books. So now I have to read 7
Read the
books.
books.
And I'm like, oh my God, add another thing to my list.
Yes.
So, yeah. What are some other things that you are passionate about outside of dance?
I am
I
kind of
mean, you're
boring. Like
you're
I'm actually
busy,
really
so
passionate about business and entrepreneurship and it sounds
that's
so like
good.
square, but I love
No,
it.
I
I
love
love
it.
marketing. Like
Yeah,
I will watch when I watch television, I analyze commercials. I can't help it. I'm like, that was
amazing.
stupid. Why did you do that like that? Or you could have done this and this would have been better. And advertising, I just love ads. I love like I don't know. It's just so nerdy.
No, I love it.
But it's just what
I
I love.
love
I
it.
love business and I love the idea of building brands and creating something from, I guess it's similar to dance, like building something from scratch and watching it flourish and grow. And so the other part of my business is marketing, where I help businesses and entrepreneurs build online businesses and make money.
Wow.
So ideally, I would be able to help dancers do the same thing, find ways to, oh, we got a cameo, find
She
ways to
always
make
makes
money
an
with their
appearance.
art.
Yeah, I love that. What are some of the marketing? I know that you mentioned that you have been doing marketing for like 15 plus years. What is was that in like a corporate setting, like where the suit, or has it always been kind of like your own path that you've made? Like, were you ever work? I guess my real question is, did you ever work for one of those like big corporate like jobs? You know?
Oh yes, I did. I when I first so I ended up finishing school in business and finance, and so I worked as a financial analyst for 3 years, and then I ended up transitioning into marketing. It wasn't corporate because when you work for a
That's the
marketing
word. That's
agency,
the word.
you could be like very creative.
Yeah.
Like you could dress in jeans and t-shirts at a marketing agency, so it's very like relaxed that way, but the position itself is like very much structured in the same way that if you worked for like a big organization or a big corporation.
Yeah.
Um, but like even my job with Capizio's been around for over 130 something years, and I was a global point shoe specialist, but essentially it was marketing and it was traveling well, the world actually, and
Wow.
going to different dance companies and going to retail stores and learning about point shoes. I wore point shoes for I don't know how many years, and there's
Yeah.
so much I had no idea about point shoes. And so when I got this job, we had this like intense training for 8 weeks. We were in the factory every day. I got to see how the point shoes were made. I was in heaven.
That's
It was
so
like,
cool.
and that point shoe smell, like remember when you open the
Yes, the
box and it's like,
new
like every
smell.
time, yes,
Oh,
the whole factory would smell like that, and I would be so excited to go to the factory and just fascinated by the whole process. But we would, in learning how the shoes were made, we learned how to fit dancers, and it actually can make or break your career as a dancer if you have the wrong type of point shoes. And I
yes.
had no idea it was that dramatic. And so, or significant, I should say, not dramatic. But I would go to different different stores. We would have point shoe days where dancers would come in. We would talk about their issues. I would either do custom orders for them, like custom design point shoes for them, or we would find a stock shoe for them. And then it just became this like thing where dancers would start asking me other questions because they knew I was a dancer, like how do I get more visible or how do I stand out
Mm,
or how do I do this? And that's sort of how I realized there was this whole need for, the business side of dance and the marketability and the visibility. And that's where the idea came from. But being a point shoe specialist was probably one of my favorite jobs. Just being able
Yeah.
to work with dancers, and I got to go to South America and Canada and Puerto Rico and all these different countries, and seeing dancers all around the world. And a lot of them spoke Spanish, but the language was the same, and they would do like these motions. Like, I remember sometimes the someone in the audience would ask a question in Spanish, but she would talk about the point shoes, and then I would just start answering in English, and I'm like, wait, I just understood what she asked. Like, dance is a
Yes.
universal language, and it's like, the motions with the shoes and the breaking
Yes.
and the size. And so yeah, it was an
Ah,
amazing experience.
that is so cool. Okay, so it is time for our next game. Our little,
Okay.
let me get it ready. Let me get our little special questions. So,
Let's go.
these questions I'm going to randomly pick. We'll see if we veto any of them. One of each
Okay.
color, and it's less of a game, more of a mystery. So,
Okay.
here we go. Let's see what we get. Okay, okay. So far, no vetoes.
I'm trying to get a little
Ooh.
coloring
I
in
know
as we
I've
pick
been so
questions.
bad with my coloring, but
It's
what is
okay.
this? Ooh, okay. These are not bad. Let me triple check that we don't want to veto any of them, and you can always veto them as well. Oh,
Okay.
okay. These are good questions. Okay. Pick a color.
Okay. Blue.
Have you ever had a job you absolutely despised?
Yes. And it was my highest paying job. It was a startup, and it was so stressful. Like, just picture a room of like 20 type A personalities. Everyone had an attitude. I would go home every day just crying and hysterical. And I remember
Oh my
saying, I don't see me lasting 3 months. And by 3 months, I was out. It was just so
God.
toxic.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm
Wow.
still a little traumatized by it.
Yes. Okay, next color.
Let's go with pink.
What has been your best moment so far this year?
My best moment so far this year. I honestly, and I'm not just saying that, I think right now, this is so much
Oh
fun.
my gosh, I'm honored.
Yeah, like, it's just such a fun show to be able to talk to you and color, and just, it's such a relaxing situation, and just being able to share my story with other dancers and with your audience. I'm like, this is a really big moment for me, and so I'm thankful for it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Okay. Next color.
Let's go with orange.
If you had to be on a reality TV show, which one would you choose?
It doesn't exist anymore, but I would have loved to have been with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I could have been like a best friend.
Yes, you would have gotten the life. Like,
Yeah.
that would have been
But
nice.
I will say Real Housewives of New York would have been a close second. Any
Mm-hmm.
Real Housewives, but
Yeah.
New York's my place. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. This one I feel like is very relevant to your work. It says, do you believe that everyone has a purpose in life, and what is yours? It's a very deep one to end on, but
Actually, oh, I'm glad I did, because I was like hesitating like between the purple and the orange. And so I
it
think this
worked
was a good
out.
way to
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good segue. Do I believe everyone has a purpose in life? Is that
Mm-hmm.
the question?
Yeah.
I do. I believe that we all have a divine calling, and some people, it's harder for them to find what that is. I was fortunate enough to know since I was a little girl. But I feel like if people who are trying to find their purpose, if they would go back to one of their earliest memories and think about the things that they loved as a child and what you were passionate about before the world got to you, before the world started telling you like, you can't do this because you won't make money, or this is going to give you, you're going to struggle, or it's too far fetched. If you could go back to that place of what drove you, what made you so excited and passionate, I feel like it's one of the relatively easier ways to identify what your passion and purpose is. But even still, like, there's also this other part of you, I think, that if you just dig deep, like what you really are here to do. And that's aside from like career. Like for me, I know that my purpose in terms of helping people is giving people permission to dream big and to go after it, because we live in this world where like most of the people around us are going to limit us in their beliefs, because you can only go as far as your limitations or your sight. And if you have a big vision, it's only your vision. Like no one else is going to get it, no one else is going to see it, and so you have to rely on yourself and you need support. And so that's where I come into play, is I give people support and permission to go after it 100%, no matter where you are, whether you're a beginner or you're super advanced, like just go after your dreams. Because who would have thought that we would have telephones with FaceTime, and even back in the day when when they decided to create a telephone wire, like who would have thought that would work, right? That's what the innovators are. The innovators think crazy, they think outrageous, they think big, and only they can see that vision. And so I try to remind those people, that the innovators, the ones that are budding innovators, to just go for it and give it 100% and just not worry about what the rest of the world says to them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. So, the last
Aw.
question I ask everyone is, oh, I'm losing my voice. The last question I ask everyone is, what brings out your most creative self?
What brings out my most creative self? As a dancer, this sounds so cliche, but it's music. I just
Yeah.
love all kinds of music, and it just, if you're stressed out and you listen to classical, it just calms you down. Or if you're trying to focus, classical music can help you focus. Or if you just want to feel excited and uplifted, you put on your favorite song and instantly, like, you're uplifted. And it also clears my head. It allows me to not focus on the things that are stressing me out or the pressures of the world, and just relax. And I feel like and coloring does the same thing, actually. It clears your head. And I believe that when your head is clear, that's when the inspiration starts to feed you. And that's when
Mm,
I start to feel more creative with what I want to do. And also reading books. Reading books really gives me some inspiration too.
yeah, I love that. That's a new one. No one's ever said books before. So that's, but music, it seems to be, it's really interesting. Side tangent. It's really interesting after doing so many interviews with people to hear their answer to that question. And music seems to be, I think, the top reoccurring thing, and it's just the power of music and dance and dancers, and our connection with music is just something really interesting. But I love
Yeah.
all of that. So, where can people find you if they want to get in touch? I know you have your program starting. Tell everyone all the places they can find you.
Okay. On Instagram, my personal account is Starring Sonja, and it's Sonja with a J, Sonja. My professional Instagram is the Sonja McCord X. Please follow us there. If you want to see our website, it's thesonjamccordx.com. I put a lot of effort into that website, and it's beautiful, if I do say so myself.
It is, it is. I've seen
And
it.
thank you. If you knew all the labor of love that I put into that website. But anyways, and then if you want to join the Dancer Visibility Intensive, which is next week, Monday through Friday, it's a half an hour every day. It's live in our Instagram account, but you can register at dancervisibility.com, or you can just go straight to Instagram at Dancer Visibility and request access. Just make sure you're officially registered so you get all the emails. And the response is always incredible. And Haley, I hope to see you there,
Yes,
because
I'm so
you will get so
excited.
much invaluable information. The first time I did it, I was so nervous. Like, what if dancers hate this? What if they don't need it? And then it was the complete opposite. I felt affirmed that what I'm doing is what is needed. You know what I mean? So,
Yes,
all
I'm
dancers, I
so
encourage to come and
excited.
invite your friends.
Yes, everyone definitely check it out. I'm going to be there. I'm so excited. I'm like, this is all stuff that I need so badly. And yeah, so if you want to follow me, My personal Instagram is Haley Grove. Super simple. And definitely check out the Dancers Doing Stuff Instagram. I'm slowly, finally rolling out episodes from the past. I think we're on episode 6 now, and for reference, this is probably like the 30-something episode, so we've got a long way to go there, but it's a journey. Come join us and watch it unfold. And then definitely subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so it would mean a lot if you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's essentially Haley right down below. You're watching this video right on this channel. And what else? The Patreon. So if you are loving this show and loving this content, definitely check out the Patreon. It's really fun. I'm trying to build it up to be a community of people who just love dance and love creating and want to create without the stress of being perfect all the time. And just the thing I'm most excited about is when we get 100 patrons, I'm going to be starting the Dancer's Dream Grant Program, which means I'll be donating $1 per patron every month to a dancer who has a creative project that needs help being funded. So whether that's hiring a videographer for a concept video, or renting studio space, or paying your dancers, or getting them some really good snacks, just hopefully creating a community that can help support this show and also support the dance community as a whole and just lift us up and keep us creative. So check out all of those things. Thank you so much, Sonja, for being here. This was such a pleasure. I need to work on my coloring. I only colored like hardly anything. I was just so fascinated. Oh, yours looks really good. I'm going to work on this, and then I'll definitely post a picture of it when it's completed. But
okay, I'll send you mine too.
Yes,
so
I need to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Of course.
It's such an honor.
Thank you for being here, and thank you everyone who's watching. I see your comments. They're so awesome. All right, guys, have a great night. Bye.
Bye.